Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day. And it's a satisfying day. I'm glad to be able to share with you on this day. And what I want to share with you is freedom, liberation, as always. But sometimes I have to start off by taking us down a little road that leads us to some places that we don't like to talk about that much. We try to ignore it, that they happen, yet at the same time, we're victimized by their existence. So, what am I saying? I'm saying to all of us today that there are a lot of things going on in the country. When it comes down to politics, there are people saying this and people saying that. When it comes down to trusting what people have said, there are people who are lying in the courts. There are people who have made testimonies that's just as corrupted as can be. And it seems like all kind of hell has broken loose in America. I mean, it's always been a bad country. But I mean, it's almost like hell is broken loose in America today. You got war going on. You got, well, you name all the crazy stuff that's going on, and it's there right before our face. And we got people who are talking about solutions and things how they got to change. And yes, that is true. And I guess I must admit to you that I used to be a Democrat, and the reason that I used to be a Democrat is because the Democrats appeared to be like angels when you put them beside Republicans. Democrats seem to care. Republicans seem like they didn't care and didn't mind you knowing it, especially if it's true. And it was true according to their actions. And so I was a Democrat for a great part of my life. But I don't boast, brag about being a Democrat because a Democrat, to me, now that I've had some experiences in life, is really no different than the Republican Party for those who know a clear truth. You know, the Democrats appear to be so wonderful because they know that really they are more wonderful than the Republicans because the pain that the Republicans cause, the Democrats know they themselves wouldn't want to go through it. So they imagine others wouldn't want to go through it either. However, they realize that regardless of how they might feel about that, even if they were in power, some would still have to go through it. And that's the thing that robs them from dealing with the reality of life. They're dealing with the reality of the system that they've committed to, as opposed to being committed to the system of life. And the only reason I can say or agree that this is legitimate is because they don't know it. Their whole entire lives have involved being denied any information about the reality of life. And the ones that know something about it, it just happens to be a miracle. Somebody say being chosen. Well, when somebody chooses, when the power, and that's all you can say is power, chooses to present you with the miracle, that eliminates the doubt that you had and other people still have because they, when they say Jesus was laying hands on the sick, they want people want to see. I got to see this. Even today, if you had a church or something where people really laid hands on the folks, I'm not talking about the gaming, and the word got out that some true miracle happened, man, you wouldn't be able to get in that church in the next Sunday or whatever day they work on because people want to see what's going on. And so when you got all these kinds of things happening right before you, it can be very, very difficult and frustrating and it's not satisfying at all. So this is what gives me comfort in coming to you as one that perhaps have been chosen is because that I have learned that the system is a power that's devised by humankind. They exist because they do not see any way that you can give allegiance to a higher power that is invisible. And it does not allow them to accept the fact that the earth is visible, that man had nothing to do with, that the resources are visible, that man has nothing to do with. But they just utilize it because they want to just be bosses. They are just bullies and they were made this way, perhaps. I don't know. They are there. And they know that the rest of us will submit to anything that comes on them strong as long as they keep us from knowing. So they have to keep the truth from us as much as they possibly can. But a miracle comes to bring the truth back to your face. So what I really am concerned about, ladies and gentlemen, hold up a second. Looked like the sun was trying to hide away, put me in the dark, and I want to be seen for these few moments. So what I'm trying to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Yes, we all have gone through that, and we all are in that. And the whole world really is serving a system that does not serve God. And regardless of what we think based upon what we've been taught, either to think and how or to shape and mold the kind of thinking that we do have to include protection for the system in which we operate under. Except when you come into a miracle, then it eliminates all that other doubt, all the other confusion that you had because you saw something that man didn't have anything to do with. And this gives me permission to sit here before you and say to you, I recommend the God that has revealed God to me. And here is me. I've given this to you once, but in case this is the first time you've heard this me, let me share with you again in case you don't get another. I recognize the earth as my home. I recognize the resources of the earth as that which is necessary for me to utilize if I wanted to meet my needs, my wants, and my desires. I realize that if I'm here on this earth by myself, I'm responsible for everything that I require. Oh, and it is required of myself. But if I'm here with others, then I know that that is spread around. The duties and responsibilities are obligation of all of us that is involved. I recognize that as an individual, God made me. I didn't make myself. And I know that in this life, in this particular life, ladies and gentlemen, I want, again, my needs, my wants, and my desires, which involves, but not limited to, not having to worry about food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, truthfully, anything that's made by the hands of man. This is what I want. I want to live in peace and be prosperous and free and joyous and happy and fulfilled and satisfied. And I want to live the life rather than dream about that life. And the road that necessitates me to be able to qualify for all that I have shared with you is satisfied by my participation in the process of creating the total goods and services for the reservoir in such an abundance that, like I, all of us, we the people, citizens of the earth, citizens of the world, family, engage ourselves in something that we love doing out of all the things that we can possibly engage ourselves in. We choose something that we love doing. And we are willing to engage ourselves in that process of participation in the manifestation thereof. And having done this, we will be truly blessed by a power that the world can't give and the power can't take away. That's the same power that gave us earth. It will give us joy. Joy for what we have committed to. And ladies and gentlemen, for me, this will keep me focused. This will keep me focused because I know now what life is all about. There's no lying, there's no cheating. There's no robbing, there's no stealing. There's no terror, there's no war. There's no hatred, there's no racism. There's no bigotry, there's no crime, there's no violence. And so when I recognize this is my choice of the way I want to live. And this happens because I can see. And because I can see, this is what I want for me. You didn't hear me say anything about any suffering for me. You didn't hear me say anything about any pain for me. And just as I see this for me, I truly believe without a shadow of doubt it is my duty and obligation to say this to you, that this is a message that God is saying to every last one of you. That same wonderful life that that have been designed for you, just as it is available to me, it is available to you. But it must be your choice. It must be in the way you see clearly on this side of the tomb. is that you see everybody as you see yourself. So you've been taught, we have been taught as people to be different, to be selfish, recognizing that a lot of us would be different because they want as much of what truth they can utilize to be exhibited before the people. So the people can always think they're doing the right thing. They just don't want the whole truth. But this message is to bring to you that part of the truth that they have left out so that you know all that they do is because you have given them the right to do it. You gave it to them because you were deceived to think that it was something that was working for you. But now, if you agree, and when you do agree that it is not working for you, that it is destroying you, then you can take back your power and utilize and redirect your power to accomplish this which we have just described. So, the message that I have today is when you hear what I just got to share for me, myself, and nothing that I have just spoken about myself can be experienced and shared by myself as long as I'm living in a system that says, no way, Jose, we do not want to honor any kind of God like that. And if I have to continue to stand like this, it doesn't matter who you are, what your faith is, and what your belief is. You are standing against the ideals that God has planted here. He says, often as you've done it to me, Eddie Marcus, you've done it to God. Because all Eddie Marcus wants for you is the same, at least that he wants for himself. He's saying that this is a God blessing. But not only do you not stand as a blessing for yourself, you want to stand the government, the church, the regular people, everybody. Because who's standing up that I can have exactly what I just shared with you? Even though you have rejected it for yourself. Gotta get back in the light. Even though you have rejected it for yourself. Now, what do you get out of a message like that? What do you get out of a message like that? When you know it takes faith about what I just got to share because you don't really know anything about that. You know, even your going to church, even your paying taxes and paying your tithes and having your discussions. You don't discuss this kind of stuff. You discuss what you have been taught with the thing to discuss. That's the afterlife after you die, after you've been controlled and manipulated every day of your life here. That don't make sense. Well, God loves you. Got old me out here, grateful. Well, yes, grateful to be alive and able to come out here, sit out here, and take this time to share with you what God has given me. And I tell you, you're still standing in my way because the life that I just got to share with you about, it seems like it just still might be a dream. But nobody wants to dream the life. We want to live the life. However, for me to live the life, the only thing I got right now that represents me living the life is the joy that God gives me for standing up doing what I've been told to do. But the literal physical putting my hands on the life and stuff like that, you the people, all of you, I love you. God knows I love you. That's why I'm here telling you this. That's one of the reasons I'm here because I got to be here. But it's a crying shame that you're sitting here denying life to yourselves because you're cowards. And it ain't your fault. It's not your fault. That's why you're still here. Because God has given you the chance to utilize your choice, to make a choice that introduces you to life. That's why you're here. And for me, well, I'll tell you that story another time. I want to thank you so very much for this. Till next, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.